Hi, and welcome back. As promised, I'm going to be starting some autumnal sewing this week. So my goal this week is to do a little bit of a designer imitation. I recently watched the Dior Autumn Winter 23-24 show that was in Paris, and the set design was really cool, and my attention was really caught by a very specific plaid skirt. I will just put a little bit of it on the screen just for a second. I don't want to get in trouble. I fell in love with that skirt, and obviously I cannot afford to actually buy a Dior skirt. So I bought 5 yards of plaid flannel with the goal of getting it as close in shape and stuff as the skirt. So first off, we have to figure out the design. Based on the snippets of video that I was able to watch, it is very clear that it has a gathered waist and a waistband that is cut on the straight grain, because the plaid is going straight up and down. It is very clear to me that it is not a rectangular skirt. I can't tell if it is some kind of gathered circle skirt, whether it's a half, a 3/4, or a full, or if it's just a gathered gored skirt. I am going to try a couple of different options as far as the pattern goes, because I'm going to draft this myself. I think what I'm going to start with is a gathered 3/4 circle skirt, because if you look at the hem, I would expect a gathered full circle skirt to actually be even floofier than this skirt is.
What's this? Okay, I like it. Picasso.
That also will work best with the fabric that I've got. And then there's one important thing to this. It's not just some type of circle skirt. It is cut in panels. I looked closely at the footage, and there are visible seams running down the skirt in multiple places just on the front side. So that means that it's not just the side seams, and I also noticed that there are almost no points at which the actual skirt itself has the plaid going vertically. It's almost always on the diagonal, which means that it has to be cut in panels of some kind. So first up, I'm going to do a mock-up just to see if the gathered 3/4 circle skirt gets me the silhouette that I like. If the gathered paneled 3/4 circle skirt doesn't work out, I'm gonna try a half version as well. I'm gonna start by drafting that and testing it, and then when I come back, I will let you know what I've decided to do and also show you my mock-up. Okay, so I have put together the mock-up that I said I was gonna do yesterday, and I was incorrect. It is not a 3/4 circle skirt, because I realized that that was going to be an insane amount of fabric, and I only have 5 yards, so we're doing a half circle skirt, and this is what the mock-up ended up looking like. It's still pretty full, and I'm going to make the waist just a little more gathered. It's quite the floofy skirt, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. This is what my pattern piece ended up looking like. I had to add 1 inch on each side because of the fact that it was not quite gathering down enough. I'm going to cut out 6 of these, and then I'm also going to cut out a waistband and a piece of interfacing for the waistband, and then I'm going to take the bottom like 3 or 4 inches and make a hem facing out of it. I'm going to make it so that I don't have to cut out 6 of those and seam them. I'm going to make like a slightly different pattern piece for that, so that I only have to cut out like 2 or 3 of them. I still have to figure out exactly what color I'm gonna do for the hem facing and for the pockets, because I don't want to do flannel for both of those. I think that that would end up weird. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting this stuff out. I have to go to the living room for this because it's just too big. So I'm gonna go do that. With the pattern matching, this is all I've got left. So if you're gonna do pattern matching, you kind of just have to accept that you're gonna be really inefficient with your fabric usage, but I can use this stuff for something else. So after I cut everything out, I lined up my skirt panels, making sure to match my plaids really evenly on the horizontal. So I sewed my first panel together after I pinned it. And then I did 5 more. Took a while. I also used the overlock function on my machine to clean up the edges of my fabric so I didn't have raw edges in there, because this fabric frays like crazy. I learned that with past times using it, and I just wanted to prevent that. Then I pressed my seams open. And then it was time to attach my pockets. On the right side, I just did it as normal, sewing the pocket to the right side of the fabric, and then pressing it over to the other side. And then I did the same thing with the back of the skirt, pinned them together, and then sewed around the outside edge of the skirt panel and then pocket. This one was nice and normal. Then I prepped my waistband and put some interfacing on there with my iron. And then it was time to figure out how on earth I was supposed to insert a pocket and an invisible zip on the same side. It's not something that I've done before, and clearly I was a little bit confused there, but I got it eventually.
"2,000 years later."
So first I marked my pocket placement on both sides of the skirt, the front and back. The start of the pocket was 5 inches down. And then I prepared some interfacing for the zipper part of the skirt. If you put a zipper on the bias, it will end up warping and bubbling, so I wanted to prevent that. This was just with 2 little pieces of iron-on interfacing. Once that was done, I attached my pocket piece to the front of my skirt. And I started this 5/8 of an inch in from each side rather than all the way along it. And then I attached my back pocket piece to my front pocket piece rather than to the back of the skirt. This was very interesting. And then I snipped the front pocket bag piece and the front of the skirt at that 5/8 of an inch that I had left, and then folded all of the pocket pieces to the back of the skirt panel. This left a really interesting opening that was set up so that the front pieces would not get caught when I attached my zipper. So I pinned my zipper to the front edge, making sure to avoid the front pocket piece as well as the front skirt panel when I was stitching. I did this with an invisible zipper foot. Those are super crucial, and if you can get one that is specific to your machine, I highly recommend it because it gets much closer than the little plastic guys that you can get. Once that was done, I attached the back of the zipper to the back skirt panel and did that just the normal way. And with that, I had a complete zipper and pocket assembly. And then it was time to gather my skirt panels down to the waistband. I sewed one line of gathering stitches about a ½ inch in, and then a second line of gathering stitches about 3/8 of an inch in. And then I gathered the skirt panels down so that they would fit the waistband. Once that was done, I pinned my skirt panels to the waistband and got it ready to sew. I sewed this on the machine and was very, very careful to keep my gathers nice and perpendicular to my seam so that nothing was crooked or bent or stuck out oddly at the end. When I was done with that, I sewed the ends of the waistband together, flipped them, and then flipped them right side out. And then I hand sewed my waistband inside down off camera. And then it was time to mark my hem. It's the first time I've been able to do it on my dress form, which is really exciting. I feel like this went a lot faster and better than it usually does. I did let the skirt hang overnight, and of course there was a little bit of warping and stretching because a lot of these skirt panels are at least partially on the bias. But I just marked it and of course gave Nara a pet and then trimmed away all of that excess. Which wasn't too bad, it was only at like an inch. Then it was time to sew my facings to my hem. And then I understitched it, flipped everything up to the inside, folded over the top edge, pinned that down, and hand stitched it. The hem is finally done. It's like 8 miles long, but it turned out so clean. So I'm going to, and I ended up needing the ye old brace goodie. So last thing to do is add the clasp, and then I'm done, and I have a skirt. Okay, so the skirt is done. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It is like the exact shape that I was hoping it would be. It has the nice gathered waist, and then it flares out just like I was wanting it to, which is awesome. The only thing I did not get right was how diagonal the plaid was on the original. It's just something I couldn't quite emulate. I think I would have had to have had like a lot more than 5 yards of fabric to be able to get it right. But I'm still really happy with how it turned out. I don't mind that it's a little less of a diagonal plaid. I think that it still turned out really nice, and I'm going to be wearing it a ton this season. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like, and if you would like to see my upcoming spooky stuff that I'm going to be filming, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you can stay caught up with all of that and catch everything that is going to be coming out within the next month. I hope to see you next time when we are in a little bit of a spookier setting. Bye.
It's All of the Ducks, featuring special guest Steven Seagal.